Hello, friends. Hey, this is one of the first times for me. It's where I'm drawing and recording later. Usually I draw and talk at the same time. This is something that's new, so bear with me. I've got to figure out exactly how I'm going to do this, but anyways, if it's clunky, just bear with me, but I'm going to learn how to do this and record and then draw and talk. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump right into this as I draw Philip Glass. The number one thing that I've chosen before I even start the drawing is I've chosen a really cool picture. I've chosen a really cool pic of Philip Glass. It has great lighting. It's a really strong photograph. And he's got a great face, and you'll see as I draw through it. Number one, I'm not concerned with exact likenesses. I just love Philip Glass in this picture as a character. And I'm going to draw, and it'll get a little bit wonky, but I usually start, so anyways, that's key. I usually start with the left eye. And you can see I put my lines down at the very top, so I had an idea of I'm not going to go any higher than that. And I'm basically drawing the side plane of his face right now, and you're going to see it's going to move over and push to the left. And right now I'm just kind of drawing his eye socket area. That's the whole shadow mass of where his eye is going to be, and that's like the bag underneath his eye. And you'll see it as it starts developing. Right now it looks like a bunch of nonsense, like what the heck are you doing? But I'm actually doing something called a blind contour, not really. There's a whole video if you want to Google it. It's on YouTube. Blind contour, not really. And right now it looks like, what the heck are you doing? And it doesn't look like anything. But I'm not a blind. So let me just say this: a blind contour drawing is something you learn, and almost everybody has done, but you don't ever really do it after you do it as a practice and as an idea, and you never it just sits there lying dormant in your life, and it's just like, well, what's the point of a blind contour? It looks like Picasso. But the way I use it is, and right now I did my little thumbs up because you might be asking, what the heck are you drawing? And it looks like it's all is lost, right? But it's not, because I'm drawing shapes right now, and I'm also doing the blind contour. And all the blind contour drawing is when you look at your subject, you stare at a line and you move your eye and you trace the subject with your eye. As you do it, you move your hand. And then when that subject, then the line goes to the right, all of a sudden you move your eye to the right. You're tracing whatever it is on the subject that you're staring at, and as you move your eye, you move your hand. And you do that through the whole drawing. And when you're done, it looks like Picasso because, you have an eye over to the far right. You have an ear all the way down south, like 30 miles down south. You have a nose that's crooked. Nothing lines up because you didn't look at your paper. The not really part of the blind contour is where I cheat. So I start with the left eye. I make a line. I trace. I move my eye, I move my hand. When I get to the end of that move, I look at my paper, reposition my pencil, and then continue to do more blind contour moves, not looking at my paper, and moving my hand. So all my not really part of the blind contour, not really, is just positioning my hand back to where it needs to be. And so I'm also keeping in mind the big picture, that underneath this face is a skull. And I didn't just draw and construct a round circle, but I'm always going to come back to that mentality that there's a bony skull underneath everything supporting it. And so right now, I have that in my mind, and I'm just going to keep thinking about drawing in the shapes that I am tracking with my eye. I haven't drawn the pupil in yet. Right now I'm doing the zygomatic arch on the cheek. I'm coming down. I'm just sort of moving myself downwards. I started with the left eye, went over the bridge of the nose, did the right socket, and then moved myself down to the nose, to the philtrum. I stopped. Now I'm going back to fill in the mass, which happens to be his eye socket. And I'm just going to shape that out. I'm now going around the side of the skull here, putting in sort of the underneath the bag of the eye. But right now, I'm just shaping out this mass that I'm going to fill in as a gray mass or, a blue mass. But this is where the eye is going to sit. You can see the line that I just did right underneath there. All of that is masked out. All of this is masked out as a mass. I haven't put the pupil in. So right now you can see it come together. Shadows are important to capture those shadows. And if you can capture shadows and nail and draw the shadows, it's almost like you're not necessarily drawing the subject. You're drawing and you're capturing shadow shapes, shadow language that it's been said. So again, I'm thinking in terms of front planes, side planes. And right now I'm putting in all the folds of the forehead. You can see I'm holding my pencil back fairly far, but I'm building this drawing. I'm working my way down to the philtrum. I'm also remembering that this is a round egg. And there's also a center line, a symmetry. There's a line that goes down the center of the face, which you'll see eventually when I get to the nose, I start angling it out as if it's popping off of this round egg. Now, at this point, I'm shaping just hair shapes. But I'm also aware that there's a skull here that this hair has to sit on top of. But because I'm also caricaturing and pushing, I can make that hair fairly hugging close to his head. So I'm just darkening the mass underneath this eye. You can see it's already there. But nothing is really darker on the value scale. Nothing is darker than like a 7. Now I'm going into a 7 mass. 7 value on a scale of 1 to 10. That'll be a whole nother teaching I do on Patreon here. But I'm just making the value right now in this eye socket about a number 7. And real quick, on a scale of 1 to 10, if 10 is black and 0 is white, right in the middle between black and white, you'd have a 5. That's called halftone. That's 50% of a value. Then you go into the up towards 10, towards black, you have, 5 is halftone, 50%. Then you have 6, 7. 7's a lot lighter than 10. And that's really what these shadow masses are. They're about a 7 value. Just darkening some of the hair mass here. You can see I'm just sort of working all around. I'm not worried about likeness. I'm just trying to pull this thing off. But I'm also thinking about what's underneath everything. So sometimes illustrators will just draw without knowledge. And what I've left behind as an illustrator is just copying. Not all illustrators copy, but I'm saying I did. Now it's informed. Now watch this. You see that line coming out, that angle? That angle is shooting outwards because the nose comes towards you, shoots out at an angle. It doesn't just go straight down like it was originally drawn. I'm thinking three-dimensionally and thinking about a round egg with a wedge nose that is coming towards us like a ski slope. Underneath here, this mass, I'm just darkening it as a mass. I don't have nostrils happening yet. But I'm probably going to come back in and scratch away some of this nose edge to clean it up so it looks like it's actually shooting off of this round mass of the egg. I'm just reinforcing the side planes, the shadow masses. And this would be the actual hairline that I'm drawing now as it's shown. This is the ear. Looks like, what? But it'll happen. I might even move it a slight bit. And the ear lines up with the eye just as a rule. The eye has a line that goes around, the eye line goes around the whole egg. The ear pretty much starts right where that line is that goes around. So you can see it. It should sort of line up with that eye line. That little mask I just did on the forehead would be a plane change, where the forehead comes down and then the eye socket part of the skull sort of shoots at an angled plane upwards. I'm just knocking back some of the white of the page right now, adding in a little more skull back in there. You can see it's starting to come together. It's feeling pretty solid. I'm having a good day right now. Again, you see that angle that I drew out there. That is the angle of the actual sort of where the teeth are on the skull. They shoot outwards. It's a curved concept around those teeth. Okay? Now you can see I'm going to scratch this out a little bit, because I definitely want to clean that up so it does look like it's angled out. That's an X-Acto knife. This paper is so cool that it allows you to scratch away. If you're new, it's the Epson premium paper, printing stock, paper stock that they have. Epson, heavyweight. And it allows you to scratch away. Now I go down and I draw the lips. I'm going to actually make an adjustment in here. This is what I just did in there. Again, I just drew around that mass that was on the top lip. There's usually a mass of gray before it gets to the actual lip. I outline that. I'm now finding the center of the lips, and as it wraps around to the other side. Again, this is all blind contour. I'm never looking at my paper. Only when I want to reposition. So once I do these lines blind contour, you can see I'll reposition my pencil. Right now I'm just filling in tone. But I accidentally filled in that top lip, and you'll see I have to go darker on the actual underside of that lip. Now I'm darkening in that under plane of the lip. It's a plane out of the light because it angles away from the light. And you can see I'm going to add part of the side of the face. I'm now drawing underneath the lip. I'm remembering thinking three-dimensionally that underneath the lip it shoots away from the viewer back to the skull, and then the chin brings it back out again, thinking three-dimensionally. This starts adding a little more roundedness into that side on the far right side. Drawing in the chin right now. Again, blind contour. I'm tracking tone. I'm tracking shadows. As I look into that chin, there's some shadow masses going on. And look how far back I'm holding my pencil. And I'm holding it in an awkward way. I'm just tracking right now the shadow mass. As it goes up, I'll fill it in as a mass right here. I'm not worried about a lot of detail. I want to get this side plane of the face and the skull. Mass all that in. All right in there. Just a nice mass. Bam. I've now lengthened or widened out his neck and his jaw. Again, I'm not shooting for representational here. I'm pushing and exaggerating. And some people can say, well, he's got a really skinny neck. Yeah, this is how I draw, right? So it's just the way I draw. I like exaggerating certain things. I like pushing things. what I'm drawing right now is the mass of, and that was a blind contour. Even the eyeglass bridge of the eyeglasses. It's all blind contour, and those lines are wonderful. Blind contour drawings are fantastic. What's interesting is in my drawing workshops, I'll have them draw blind contour for 30 minutes, and just to refamiliarize themselves with the concept. And what's funny is the drawings look so ridiculous, but the lines are so beautiful because they're pure, and they don't look like anything, but they look so beautiful. And I said, if you took that home and you showed that to your spouse, and you said, here's what I paid all this money for to study with this artist, they'd say like, well, what the heck, I could do that. You paid good money for that? And it's just like, yeah, because it's about something. Blind contour it's a discipline. It's a workout. It's a new approach. It's not new because I invented it or because I'm doing it. It's new for me, and it's maybe new for you, because most people look at their subject and then go back to their drawing and draw what they thought they saw. Blind contour, not really, is you draw what you know you saw because you tracked it and traced it with your utensil or your pencil or your pen or your paintbrush. And so you make these lines that are blind. You're really blindly making lines, but you're really not, because if you can really work on drawing this way, it will change the way you draw. I've seen this work in so many people's drawings. It's incredible. I'm like, wow, this is so cool, because sometimes as an artist, it's like am I selling snake oil? Am I really selling snake oil here? Is this just this little stupid little thing that I do, this little quirk? But it's not, because it's rooted in principle. It's rooted in historic classical education. It's tracking, it's tracing, there is form and foundation underneath it when you study the skull. So you're not just like blindly drawing something and just capturing it with a line. You really are thinking about the subject, and you're really capturing this subject because you're using your eye to track what you see. And so for me, it's life-giving, and it's my style, And I've seen people that study with me start, in one sense, kind of drawing in this manner, and I've seen their drawings like improve like really overnight. It's really cool to see. And it's not because they're drawing like me, it's because they're drawing in a different way than they were. And so anyways, as I get to these shoulders, I'm angling them down. And I'll be really frank with you. I stole that from Mike Mignola with Hellboy. I love the way Mike draws. My main steal is from Michael Ramirez. So I'm really stealing from Michael Ramirez. But I have a few other people that I'm stealing from as well. Which there's a saying, professional steal, amateurs imitating professional steal. So anyways, that's a whole nother deal. I'm getting down to the hands, and again, all blind contour. I'm drawing these folds of the arm that lead me down to these hands. And there's really a wonkiness that I like drawing with hands. Again, I'm blind contouring. Holding my pencil back really far. I'm wanting accidents to happen. I'm wanting a big accidental move of the thumb. And it's like, wow, look at that thumb. But I'm looking for accidents. I'm looking for accidental moves. But I'm also aware of the whole structure underneath with the bones of the hands and everything like that. And this is just the way that I draw hands and the things that I'm thinking about as I do it. There is no real template like if you can draw hands like me, I don't really believe in that, and I don't really want that either. But again, I'm thinking shadow mass. I'm also going to knock all this back down as a value. Just bring it down. I'm not going to spend a lot of time in the shirt. I'm also running out of paper. So that dictates a lot. When you have these confined areas, you have to fit your drawing in and make these, put the brakes on, and it creates for a cool style. I'm also going back here. I might be drawing in the iris right now. Yeah, I am. And you can see I usually sharpen my pencil right when I get back here. I outline the highlight, but I save the iris for last. And I just fill it in as a mass. I'm not worried about the pupil. I don't want to know much about the pupil. I don't really see the pupil. It's a mask before it's anything. So that's what it would be called, a mask before detail. I'm just going, outlining the spectacles. The other thing that I'm doing is I believe in asymmetry. I believe in asymmetry, right? And it's like, asymmetry is like, I don't want exactness. I want to exaggerate. I want to push things. So they're not the same shape necessarily either. And you can see the slight glass sort of. I'm going to darken the upper lid right there. I believe I'm going to sharpen my pencil. Nope, I didn't. Interesting. So I'm going to outline the highlight. I'm going to now fill that in as a mask. And that's how I do every single eye. That's how I do it all. Actually, it looks really cool like this. I think it looks really cool. I'm going to darken the lid a little bit. That lid is catching light. And I'm sort of defining form right now. I'm using lines to reinforce form, that it's curved, it's round. I'm making form-defining moves is what I'm doing. Drawing with the side of my pencil, treating that as a mass. Just want to darken all of this shadow mask. I don't want anything, I want that as a mask. It's probably a 6 value, but it's a simplified mask with very little variety in it. It's called unity first, variety second. And all that means is let it be a unified mass. Let it be a value first. And then you can put in some details or some little variety. But you don't want so much variety in there and so many moves and so much detail that all of a sudden my eye goes over there because the story is in the light. Right now, these little moves I'm doing, I'm readjusting the mouth. I'm also remembering that the mouth is wrapping around this mask. It's not a straight mouth on there. It is wrapping around this mask. These are all, if you think three-dimensionally, as if you're a bug crawling on this thing, there are all these different planes that are firing off. And this plane right there, well, there's the plane right there that I'm knocking back. That actually is a frontal plane, but it then goes into the side mass, the side plane. Now I'm just playing around with different shapes of coming back to this head, and I want to maybe add a little more skull to this. One thing I'll say about the skull, which is interesting, is imagine the skull when you draw, and then when you put the hair on, it's like a wig. And then his is curly hair. It's only going to be curly about maybe 2 inches off of his head, unless he's got an afro. That's going to be maybe 4 inches off of his head. But it'll be a unified 4 inches off of his head, pretty much sitting around his head for 4 inches all around. Same with this head here, his hair. It's going to be about 2 inches off of his head. So you can't all of a sudden make one area of his hair half a quarter inch off. It's got to be some sort of a balance of factual 2.5 inches all over his head. Now, he might have bedhead, that's fine, but I'm saying by and large, it has to make sense, and it has to sort of sit on his head, accurately. Again, I'm just outlining some of these. I'm figuring out, basically what I'm figuring out is how to make his wrist to his elbow work based off of the brakes that I've had to put on. And I would say from his clavicle down to his belly button, there's a straight line going straight down to his thumb. That is not form revealing. That's a little bit of a lie. That's not something I would keep. I would make sure that line comes down and then curves and follows that line that is holding his left arm. It should be a curve on that. And this is just a shadow mass of the hand. You can see I keep coming back to other things that I look at as I look back at something. I'll come back and you see I added the side of the face because I looked up and said, whoops, that needs fixed. So I went ahead and I addressed it. It's okay to work the whole drawing. And again, I'm thinking round. I'm thinking as these aren't just lines. I'm not just copying a photo. I'm really thinking three-dimensionally about this subject. This is a shadow mask that I'm putting in right now that falls on his sort of the cleft area of his upper lip area. It's upward facing. And I'm just refining and defining underneath the lip area here that it's round, it's curved. The back part of his lip is further away than the front. You can see my lines, they're form revealing. I'm moving in those directions. That's a round mass. This is a round mass. Now I'm going to get my trusty little X-Acto knife out. I'm going to indicate just with a few moves where his glasses are falling. I don't have to outline the whole lens, just a few specific spots. You can see how cool this paper is. It just scratches right away. It's pretty killer. But I think I'm going to put in the highlight right there, just a little touch of the highlight. No, that's actually his lens, and it's crossing over the actual eye. You can see it just hitting a few pieces there. But again, it's little tiny moves, careful moves, nothing horsey. It's pretty dang cool. Yeah, baby. That is the highlight. Look at that. Nice. Boom. I might touch up just a shot of light hitting on that skin, the lid of the eye, which is an upright plane. It's also wet. Just scratch a little bit there. There is a hierarchy of value here, meaning most of the face is a 1 value, and it allows me to scratch in some highlights that are pure white. But I don't have white everywhere. I don't have all this stuff firing off everywhere, right? Now I'm going back. I'm going to work a little bit more on the hands. Again, these are all just blind contour moves. Some of this might not make any sense. It's like, yeah, I can pick that up. I can use that from him. It may not be helpful to you at all. But it is, for me, it's a cool way that I draw, and I dig the end result. But I also know how to draw hands textbook as well, structurally. I was drawing hands at 17. I was drawing Tom Petty, Damn the Torpedoes album, and drawing those hands. So I know how it works. And now that supports me, that understanding. But I now can draw a blind contour and push and pull and exaggerate. Again, these are just sort of defining lines. Doing some slight folds in here. I'm not going to spend all this day getting too crazy with folds. I'm trying to go big picture here. Then I probably want to add his waist in here. What I would probably do now that I'm looking back at this is not just throw a line. I would think about his torso and then put the hips in. So that's it, my friends. Thank you again for joining me. All right, man. Let's see here. Philip Glass. And that, my friends, is a blind contour, not really. Boom. Wait, there's more. As I looked on, I realized he has some white of his brow that pops out. That may be it. At this point, I'm redefining his jaw a little bit. Darkening that up as a mass. I think I'm going to darken this all as a mass right here. Think mass. You can see that's exactly the same mass, value mass, as his neck. That's it. I think this is it. Thanks for joining me, my friends. Awesomeness.